So welcome to the recipe for social media posting. We're going to get going right now. I'm going to start by sharing my screen, and here we are. So the recipe for social media posting success is something that I do twice a year. I teach this usually in April or somewhere around there, and then again in September, and then in May and October, we have a challenge, a social media challenge. And I'll tell you more about that at the end. And I'd love to have you get in on that challenge, and I'll tell you what we're going to do with it in just a few minutes. But first off, let's get going with this. And so, for the last year, we've really had, it feels like this, I don't know if I don't think it's an astronaut, but it's somebody in a hazard suit that's out there. And, we just need to know that we can get past this. Well, we are getting past this right now. Hopefully it'll continue. We're not going to have the problems that we're seeing in other countries, like in Ireland. They're back to being locked down. India is now at the highest rate of infection that they've ever seen. In fact, they're saying it could be as high as a 10% of their population could be affected in the way of passing away. And so it's quite a hard thing, but we're going to get past this. But today for this, we're going to show you some really cool things about what we can do here. So, sometimes people feel like it's like this, but we're getting past it. So not to worry about the world is not burning up. It's not going up in flames. Let me tell you a little bit about me. This is just very briefly about me. You can read all of this stuff, but to give you the lowdown, I live in South Jordan. I've been married now for 42 years. It'll be 43 years in June. So it's pretty cool. I have 6 kids. I have actually 8 grandkids now. I forgot to update this presentation since the last time I did it. I used to run the community newspapers. I have been on chambers and all kinds of things. So you can read all of that stuff. So the big thing that I want to talk about is there are 16 types of posts or so that I used to think, but we're going to cover a lot more. These are all the different types of posts, but let me tell you, when I search and somebody says, my social media isn't working for me, I find that there are really usually 3 different things that could be going on. One, they could be using one of 3 different posts, and they use the same one over and over. The second one is they're only using 2 of these post types at a time, and that's it. The third one is that they just simply are all over the place and they don't know what they're doing. We're going to go through that today, and we're going to show you how to do this. Now, the 3 posts that I see people doing all the time is educational. So they're always educating, always educating. I have a client that's an HVAC company, and they were doing great education. But the problem was that they were doing such good education, they never told people that they actually were an HVAC company as well. And they could, but what they were doing is they had this big thing. It says, here are the 9 questions you should be asking when you choose to look at a HVAC company for either heating or air conditioning. Well, that's great, except for they never mentioned on it their answers, and they never mentioned that they were also. In fact, they could have been with the state of Utah or anyone else, and that's a big problem. The second one that I see a lot is people are always doing sell, 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 sell. No one likes to be sold all the time. So it's promotion, promotion. No, the third one I see all the time is people just doing inspirational and motivational things. That's all they do. I think that's going to endear people to them, but they never tell them about their business. They never give them offers. And it's always a big problem if you're just doing those three. Now, today we're going to be talking about really the recipe for posting. This is social media posting. I use the acronym recipe because, well, it goes really well with my program. So it is the recipe for social media success, and we've called it the social media content recipe. And as with any recipe, there are things that are in that you should be using, ingredients. Now, you don't, one of the things with this over doing something in the kitchen is you don't have to have every one of the ingredients, but you do have to have one at least from each of these different ingredient types every time, or try to. And we'll go through what they mean. So each of these letters in recipe stand for a letter or stand for something. And so recreational is for R, E is educational, and we're going to go conversational is the C, I is inspirational, P is promotional, and the second E is for entrepreneurial. And we're going to go through what they mean, each one of them, so that you'll know how to utilize them. Now, here's the thing. Don't use these only one category. You should be using at least one from each of the categories and then rotate between them. And you can change them every time, or you can use similar things when you get back to the R. Now, to give you an idea, I use recreational as usually in what I do is on Saturdays. Not always, but a lot of times. So when I'm out and about, I'm doing things, I'll a lot of times do that. It also works really well when you have holidays on Sundays or Mondays, because then you can promote that. So let's get on and I'll show you what I mean by all of this. So, sorry, I went the wrong way. There we go. With recreational, here are the different things that you can do. You can use funny things. So these are things that you find funny yourself. This lets people know what kind of a person you are by your type of humor. Then, of course, jokes are a good one. Contests, throwbacks, holidays. We hear about Throwback Thursdays. Some people do that. Contests, they're a big thing you can do right now. And contests can actually help you draw more people in to follow your social media accounts. You can have people, you can run a contest for people to invite friends to follow yours. Now, there have been a couple people say, well, wait a minute, contests aren't allowed to go and get people to follow you. Yes, you can. You just have to have a legitimate one. There are some companies who have done this and they didn't really give away the prize at the end. And so that's a big problem. We have a program that we use that it is a separate program from there. And when somebody goes in and they go to Facebook and then shares it out to other people, it keeps track of it. When you're sharing your Instagram, it keeps track of it. When you're visiting these sites, it keeps track of it. So you can actually go and do a contest. And if Facebook ever questions you, you can show them we are using a legitimate contest program that legitimately gives away this on whatever date you've decided to do. Holidays are a great one for recreational. And as I mentioned earlier, with the so many Sunday and Monday holidays, this is great to be done on Saturday. Not everybody does it on Saturday, and some people move them around so that they can be on different days of the week. Giveaways are a great thing. Now, there is a difference between contests and giveaways. So I had a customer the other day, and he said, okay, I don't understand the difference between this. A contest is something that they can win, but it's a random type thing. They do things, and then you randomly choose, who wins. A giveaway is something you can give away to everyone. So I have an insurance agent that he runs a promo all the time. He says, let me come and give you a quote on your insurance, and I will give you a vacation to, and then he lives in Tennessee. And so he gives a vacation to Branson, Missouri, which is about 2-hour drive from where he lives. And people love this. And so he just He uses that all the time. But everybody wins in a giveaway. A giveaway can also be like you're giving away a book. You're expecting them to give you something in return. So in his case, with the insurance agent, he was giving them a quote as well as they got that prize. With some people, what they'll do is, you give me your email address, I'll give you this book. That's a giveaway. So you can use that as one of the things you can do. The last one there is life events. If you're going on a vacation, tell people about it. You don't always have to tell them up front. You can tell them about when you get home. Last year, I went to several different places and took pictures, and then I posted them afterwards, talked about those life events. Now, sometimes life events are things like a marriage, a newborn baby, getting married. There's all kinds of things. Even the sad things are really good that you can put in there. The loss of a family member or a friend is also a life event. And this all fits in this category. This helps people to understand what type of person you are. And that's what recreation is all about. The next one is educational. And so with this one, this has a lot of different things in it. And so I'm going to go through them. Facts. This is facts about your business, facts about the products, facts about anything you can think of. Now, and trivia kind of goes along with that, but not always the same thing. Trivia, it can be different, and it's kind of we use a trivia contest when we do trivia, and it's been a lot of fun. Where facts, we just simply give them a fact. One of the people that I've worked with in the past asked me to write an article for his group, and it's a group of writers, and I'm a writer as well. And so I wrote this article, and this has been about 7 years ago. And I wrote this article, and the article was about 3 big writers that everybody knows. And I said, now, let me tell you, each of them do things a little differently with their social media. And one of them that I was talking about was Dan Brown. And Dan Brown, when he goes and he researches something, he'll never impart anything that can be put into his book, but he will impart other information, facts and trivia that he finds as he's exploring and he's finding all this information for his next book. This is a great thing. Now, in the other case, it was Stephen King. Stephen King, on the other hand, will actually tell you all these different things that he found. And he says, and I'm going to put this in my book, see if you can see where I put it. And it helps endear people to you. Either one works, but be consistent with it and utilize it the way you want to. And for most business people, they're not writing books. Facts and trivia are great ways of helping people to have some fun with you as well. Trends and research is a great one. So if you find that there's a research study was done, present that. Have people go to that research study. You don't have to have everything always on your site. So research is one of the big ones. I have a chiropractor that I work with, and he has me find articles that are research articles about new techniques that are coming out. Now, he reviews them before I post them, and he says, ooh, I don't really believe that one, or I don't trust that one, or I'm not going to practice that one. But others, he says, ooh, this is right up my alley. In fact, I'm going to take and start utilizing that and offering it. That's what trends and research can be all about. And it can be all kinds of different things. And it's always in your industry in that particular case. Education, of course, you want to educate people. What makes you different? What is your unique value proposition? And educate them on the different things that you have. Again, this different HVAC company that I work with, they have a product that cleans the air, not by drawing the air through it, although it does do that, but it releases some particles into the air that when it runs across any viruses, it attacks and kills it in the air, not having to draw it through. So it's much faster at killing the germs that are in the air. Doctor offices are using these, hospitals are using these, even businesses are using these. But it was an education type thing before people could understand what they were really good for it. I just realized I didn't bring my microphone over closer. Hopefully you were hearing me okay. Tips and tricks. These are, again, things that are really a fun thing to do. How to use your product better, how to do things. I had a person the other day and they said, boy, tell me a tip or a trick. Well, you know what? I sat down and I said, did you know that every time you change the cover of your Facebook business page or group, then every time you do, it sends out to everybody who's following you and says, hey, the cover's been changed. And here's what it kind of looks like. Come visit it. Now, one of the tips, that's a tip, but there's also a trick to it. If you put information behind it, so it has a description behind it, you can put an Easter egg in there, something that people will discover and they'll go, ooh, I found something that most people won't. And that is a huge thing. I have one client that I've been using this with for years. And every time we do that, we get almost 100% of all those people who are following them to come to their business Facebook page. Now, here's the thing. Even though there's 1,000 people who are following on your business page, the Facebook only sends out to a few of them. Only those that are liking and connecting with you and have gone to your site and are commenting and are sharing are the only people they do, and it's up to 6%. This is a way to get to 100% of those people, and a lot of them will come back. And once they are there, then Facebook will fill up that 6% and still only send you 6% going forward. But you can change your cover once a month. So there's your tip. There's your trick. Those are the kind of things people love. They love to know some inside things about it. And that's what tips and tricks are. Case studies are really, really hot. And so if you are doing a case study, if you need to know more about what a case study is, you've helped somebody, but there's two things. You can get them to do a testimonial or an internet review, and that's a good way of doing it because then it has them telling the story, and I utilize that with a case study. But a case study can be, here's this problem that someone was having, and it really kept getting worse. And then we were able to come up with a solution. And so it's a case study of how you corrected the problem with your solution. And so case studies are really good. And then if you have the internet review that goes along with it, man, that becomes very strong. And in fact, I usually post those separately, a couple days apart. Now people will start going, oh, I read that case study. Oh, that's customer really loves them. Great thing. There's another tip for you. Informational. I had somebody ask me the other day, well, what's the difference between informational and educational? Informational is usually things that you already know or have thought of or have, and you're now reinstituting it to them. So maybe they were educated a few months ago on something. Now it becomes informational when you remind them of this. And they go, oh, I forgot about this. I don't know how many times I've gone to a seminar or a conference, and the person is telling the same things that I already knew. Well, it's reminding me of what I need to do and what I didn't do before, but it still is only informational, not educational, because I already knew the procedures. And as soon as I mention it, oh, I know the educational side of it. So it's informational. Now, sometimes information is strictly giving something like a research paper. But again, that goes back to research and trends. So that's informational. C, our third letter, that's conversational. Conversational is all about getting people to start talking with you and you talking with them. Now, I'm going to give you some really strong examples because conversational can be one of the best things you can be involved with on social media. I have some people who have told me that these are trivial type things and they should not be used. Yet I have proved them wrong. And I'll give you the examples of that. Do a survey and be sure that it's something that you really want to know. Now, there is a difference between a survey and a poll. So a poll is generally one question. You're just quickly trying to get information about, hey, did you like this? What did you think about this and such? So a poll is with one. Survey can have multiple questions. Now, some people do put a poll and they have others, but a poll is a little different and should be used differently. In fact, I always be sure to call one a poll and the other one a survey, and that creates conversation because they're going, what's the difference in? And I can tell them. So do a survey. We did a survey after our business success conference last year, both of them, the one in the spring and the one in the fall, to find out what people wanted to know about next. And it was great. We had a question of, what did you like best? What was the best presenter of the show? What did we miss? What would you like to see in the next business success conference? And it's interesting because in that particular one, we gave them 20 choices, and we had them give a number between 1 and 20 on all of those choices. And it was interesting to see what people said. On a poll, though, we do polls during and we just simply pop up a poll and it says, hey, what is your opinion on this? Or what do you feel about this? And so, and sometimes we use multi-question polls, which is really a survey, but most of the time it's just a poll, single question. One of the others that have been very strong for us is fill in the blanks. If I won $1 million, I would. And by the way, the number one answer is travel. Number 2 is pay off debts. And it's interesting that they're in that order, but they're always very close. And then there's all kinds of other things, go to school, buy a car, all kinds of things like that. But the first thing that they think, fill in the blanks, is a great way to get people to talk to you. And I'm going to go through all of these, and then I'm going to come back and give you some examples of how these can really be conversational. This and that. I use this when I write a book. I have covers made, and I have sometimes 2 covers. Sometimes I have 4 covers. On my last one I had a year and a half ago, I had 5 covers made. And so what I did was I put it out there and I said, do you like, and I just put 2 covers up at a time. And I said, do you like this one or do you like that one better? And one of the things that I did was when they said, oh, I like the A or B, I would always ask them, why did you say B over A? And it gives you some ideas that maybe none of these covers are quite right. But then I go on and I have number 3 and 4. And then I do the winner of 1 and 2 with the 5th one. And then the winner of that one with the one that's the winner of the 3 and 4. And that brought me down to 1 cover. And by far, the 1 cover that I used for that one was what everybody wanted, like 90% on that particular cover. Now, sometimes it's close all the time. Sometimes it's not. In fact, I did one time on that same cover, I put all 5 up there and I said, is this still the number one you'd like? Now, we'd already sent it to be printed, and absolutely it was the number one cover. So it was great. But this and that is a great thing to use but make sure on every one of these, they are things that you would like to know about, and you can then do some conversational things with them. Again, I'll explain a little more about that in a minute. Ask advice. This one is really important. I have had some customers that have asked the advice of people, but they had already made up their minds, and so they didn't take the advice. I'll tell you right now, if people find out you don't take the advice, that it's just a way of trying to get them to respond, they will stop talking to you. They'll stop conversing with you on social media. You need to make sure that it is something that you are asking their advice and you want to legitimately find out what they say. Now, if you're getting lots of different conflicting advice, that's okay. But be sure to go back and say, after all of the considerations, I think I'm going to go this way. What do you guys think? Now you're asking advice again, but it helps them understand that you took into consideration what their advice was. The last one is questions. I use questions a lot. In fact, a lot of my Friday things, I call them my engaging Friday posts. I usually do a question. And a few weeks ago, I did a question, and it was, all right, people, I want to know, Fridays or chocolate, which is your favorite? And I had people on both sides of that issue. But I would go back in, and here's the thing with all of these things you should be doing. Go in and ask them, why did you say that? Now, in the case of if they said chocolate, I then went in and I said, well, do you like milk chocolate, medium chocolate, or dark chocolate? Now, I absolutely left white chocolate off of it to see what kind of responses I would get, if I would any. And I did. I had several people say, you miss white chocolate, and that's my favorite. Perfect. Now, once you get something like that going, you can continue a conversation. If somebody says, oh, I like dark chocolate better. And I said, what's your favorite candy bar? What is it you like your chocolate on? Do you like the ice cream that is a dark chocolate? And it's interesting. A lot of people who like dark chocolate don't like the dark chocolate ice cream. They like more of a medium chocolate or a milk chocolate, mostly medium chocolate. They say it's too harsh in ice cream. Okay, well, now I got a conversation going. When we were talking about chocolate versus Friday, we were talking about chocolate, and this lady come on and she says, well, I'm allergic to chocolate. That's why I always choose Fridays. And I said, you always choose Fridays? And she says, yes. And so we got a conversation, and we had as many as 22 people that got in on that conversation over a couple of days. That's what you want. That's getting conversation going. You don't always have to be right on it and responding to it immediately, but it sure does help to have people conversing with you. By the way, anytime I do the this and that on my book covers, my books sell higher amounts, and it's a lot of times the people who are giving me advice on the cover, they wanted to get the book so that they could read it because they helped decide something in it. That's the same thing that I've heard from Stephen King as well, that he says that's why he releases everything. In fact, he says sometimes as I'm getting very, very close, I'll give them something and I'll say, and we'll look for this on page 22 and look for this on page 183. And he says, people want to go and find that so they can see how that trivia is used in that. So it's interesting. And it's asking questions and then getting a conversation going. Okay, the next one is inspirational. This is number 4. And I have quotes on here 3 times. Why? Okay, let me tell you something. I started using quotes that I came up with. If you notice, most of the motivational and inspirational speakers out there, they put their own quotes up there all the time. But they also put others up there. Now, if they're in leadership, you'll also find that they'll use other leaders in that industry, their quotes, but you'll have more of their own quotes than they will their competitors. But they do put their competitors in there. It helps people to endear them to them because, hey, I'm not afraid to have, so if it's a motivational speaker, maybe they want, and maybe they love Dan Clark, or maybe they love Brian, or, oh, my mind went blank. So anyway, any of the others that are out there, they can use. But then sometimes they'll even throw something in that they just feel is really good. That was a great quote by Sir Isaac Newton, or by Aristotle, or Benjamin Franklin, and there's all kinds of people out there. But it had nothing to do with their industry. So I put each of those 3 in there so that you could understand it's okay to use any of those or all of those. And I have some that I rotate through all the time. Now, another one is before and afters on this. This is great. There's a lot of people who utilize this, especially if they're in the health coaching industry or they're an auto body shop. I have an auto body shop that he's been using this for years. And so he gets a great picture of this crunched up car that comes in and it looks, terrible. But then he shows it when it looks like it's about to be driven off of a showroom floor. That's important. Show the before and afters. The person, the guy or the lady who lost 50 pounds or 80 pounds, or there's a lot of things you can do with before and afters. I saw one the other day. It was a health coach that was helping people to go from the skinny guys that they look like computer nerds. By the way, I am one of those, but I'm not so skinny anymore. I used to be. But anyway, they'd get these skinny guys and then they would help them through training and other things to put on muscle and put on so that they looked much healthier, but also they enhanced their appearance. And you can see that in, both men and women and other things. There's lots of before and afters you can do. Client success stories. This can kind of go along with the case studies, but these are a little different, and it's inspirational is what you want to try to do these. So it's a client that has found success by utilizing your product. And so maybe it wasn't so much that your product was the right thing, but it was their success that you're celebrating. And so you want to be careful with doing those differently, but still you want to have some of each of those. And the last one here is inspiring images. I was noticing the other day that there's a lot of people that I work with that from time to time, they'll find an inspiring image and it'll go sometimes with a quote. Sometimes it's just an image that just raises your spirit. One of them that I saw the other day was a sunset on Arches National Park with the delicate arch. And I've seen hundreds and hundreds of these delicate arch ones, but they had this cloud that was looking like it was on fire. It was a very red, the light from the sun was painting it red. And behind the arch, and it's blue everywhere, but this tiny little cloud is over there and it's bright red too. But that tiny cloud looked like an arch itself. And it was so cool to see. And then later, that same photographer who was taking that, he showed a rainbow behind it because it started raining just after it. And then the sun came back out. You didn't have the big cloud up in the sky because the clouds had come over and then disappeared. But it was the rainbow and again, the red sky. And that was beautiful. It was inspiring. What inspires you? That's what you're looking for. And that's on the inspirational. Our fifth one is promotional. Entrepreneurial's next. Promotional is when you get to make offers and do things, but I'm going to give you some goods and bad things you can do on these. Customer reviews are wonderful. I take customer reviews that are on Facebook and Google, or even from Yelp or anywhere else that people put a review for my company or my clients, and we'll take and put them as either a static image, or we will do a voiceover video, or we'll do a video of the person if they will let us. Customer reviews are really strong, and they're promotional, but yet they're not you doing the promotional. And that's something very different than what there is anywhere else. The next one is live events and demos. Promote live events. I promote this, my training seminars that I do every week. These are things that you should be doing. If you're having a demo sale, I was working with a landscape company, and they were doing a demo thing on a Friday and Saturday at their location, so people could come in and see some new sprinkler heads and some new plants that they're going to be trying out here in this area. Now, this was a year and a half ago. Well, it's 2 years ago now, because it was spring of 2009. But they had this demo thing, and they started promoting that on the social media a few weeks before. And guess what? They had a lot of people who came in, and a lot of people who said, "Ooh, I like those sprinkler heads. They cover the ground much better than those big ones that just simply spray one thing, and there's just the little bits that get to the grass near it." And so they loved it. So it's do those kind of things, have live events. Now, actually, the webinars is what we're doing, and I kind of jumped ahead of myself. But if you're having live events, that's a great thing. If you're having a grand opening, do that. Have a grand opening. Invite your customers. Invite anybody you can to come and celebrate with you. Blog post promotions. If you do blogs on your website, and I do recommend that for everyone, because it keeps your content on your website fresh if you're always changing it. And Google recognizes that. And that's a good thing, because that'll help them push more people to you. But by doing a blog post promotion on your social media, you can actually have 2 or 3 or 4 blog posts that are different and just leading into the same post. We had a customer a couple of years ago where it was all about getting customers to set their goals for the year. And it's in February, not November or December, like most people. They were saying it's not too late. So the first one we did was, it's not too late for you to set your yearly goals. The second one was all about, if you set yearly goals, here's what you can expect. The third one was, again, about that. It says, are you willing to hit the mark, or do you really have any mark? Then we had a fourth one. It was a fork in the road. If you don't have any plans, do you know which fork you should be taking? This all led into that one article, and it became, it was a strong article anyway, but that's one of the things you need to do, is have something that promotes your blog post so that it's doing some good for your website. And of course, your website's going to help bring you more prospects anyway. Discounts. Yes, you can sometimes have discounts, but don't use them all the time. I've worked with restaurants that have nearly put themselves out of business, and other restaurants that have put themselves out of business by giving discounts. So and I've told this story many times, and you may have heard this, but there was a sandwich shop that I was working with. Now, this was before I did social media. This was when I was doing the community newspapers. And this guy was opening a sandwich shop. And so we talked, and we came up with a buy one, get one free. Now, after a few months, he calls me, he says, boy, this buy one, get one free is only break even. And I says, well, why are you staying with it? He says, oh, I thought I needed to. And I said, no, let's drop it. Well, he says, I don't want to just drop it off cold turkey. And I said, okay, go to a buy one, get one half price. That'll raise, a little bit more of the money you're going to make. And then eventually I want you to go to only highlighting something. And that's that last thing there is highlights. And he says, well, what's that going to do? And so I said, let me tell you. So he had a sandwich. It was called the Admiral. It's a roast beef sandwich that had some, he took a horseradish sauce and added a couple of other things into it to lighten the flavor and change it a bit. And he put that on there. And then, of course, it had lettuce and tomato, but it was on a toasted bun, and it was hot roast beef. And there was a special cheese that he was getting. And he had all of this on there, and he told about that. And by the time you got finished with the ad, you're going, I want one of those, because we made it so that it was enticing for them. And so he calls me a week after the ad hits. Says, Boyd, you're absolutely right. I should have done this a few months ago. Our other sandwiches have not dropped, but the Admiral, we have doubled our sales of. And I said, okay, well, that's good. And he says, no, that's bad. I didn't order enough stuff for it. I figured it'd go up a little bit because, well, I didn't think it would be as big as you said. Well, he said he didn't make that mistake again. Every week he did a promotion. He always doubled and sometimes tripled the amount of things that he needed to fulfill that sandwich. And he did really well with that. And he never had to give a discount, although he did do a discount once a year for 2 weeks when it was his anniversary of being open. He'd do a $1 off any sandwich or $1 off every sandwich. And it just depended on the year that what he did. But that's it. You don't always have to be discounting things. Don't always, because that's sometimes worse. Because there's a steakhouse that I was working with, and they started putting offers on a place that gives you basically dinner for 50% off. The only thing is they only paid the restaurant 50% of the 50%. So they were only getting 25% of the full price. Their cost for the food was 42%. Then they also had to have the money for their servers, the overhead, all of the other things. It put them out of business because people kept expecting that and wouldn't come in until he did offer that again. And it put him out of business. So you've got to be careful with discounts. Don't always be discounting. In fact, only do it rarely and utilize highlights or offers. Now, offers can be a bit different. I like offers because what it is you find something that you can add to the value. And so in some cases, it's with any sandwich purchase, you get a free small drink. Sometimes the offers are, McDonald's does this. McDonald's has $1 for any size drink. That's an offer. Some people say, oh, that's discounts. No, it's an offer. And you can get it whether you buy anything else or not. But the key is, because it's always $1 for any size drink, what do most people buy? They get the big one for themselves and the little ones for kids. It's always $1. They make more money on the ones that are smaller, right? Well, they also sell a lot of food because of that. And so that's the key, is having an offer that draws people in, having something that really helps. I mentioned webinars and seminars earlier when I talked about live events. Yes, you want to try to do webinars and seminars and promote them. If you're going to be doing those, it's important. And I mentioned highlights already. So that's promotional. You do not want to make an offer or discount every single time you send something out. I recommend once every 2 weeks having an offer or a discount. Now, if the offer is always just, buy a soft drink, any size soft drink, you can do that one over and over and over because you're making money on that soft drink anyway. And so but it becomes your standard offer. But you should be doing other things. Don't always discount everything, because you don't want to become the discount store unless that's what you're in business to do, is give everything to them at 10 or 20% of less. Now, the last one is entrepreneurial. A lot of people don't understand how entrepreneurial works, what it's for, what's going on with it, but tell about the entrepreneur spirit within your company. So sometimes that's behind the scenes. Now, we have a guy who, he runs a manufacturing plant. And so what we did was we did a 10-minute video that was all about his getting into work and getting to his office. And what he did was he comes in the back door, and you're seeing him get out of the car. He goes over to the back door. He has his, he has to ring the bell. Somebody opens it. He comes in, and he's walking through the manufacturing plant. And he's talking to all the people that he does. And he does this every day. He goes in and, how are you doing, Margaret? Hey, Mary, how's your son doing? And he does all of these things every single day as he works his way through to the front office. Then in the front office, he goes and says hello to the sales manager, to the salespeople, to the secretary that's at the front desk, and the administrative assistants that he has. And then finally he gets to his office, and he sits down at his computer, and he says, all right, Now I'm going to be reading my email. So this is a little boring. I'm going to have him quit now. And that's what he does. But that's a behind the scenes. And hundreds and hundreds of people went to see that and they loved it. And his business is classified as one of the best places to work for in a manufacturing plant. That is because he is interested in making sure he knows all of his employees. He knows that he can call and talk to them. He can go and recognize that Mary's son had a fever a couple of days before or over the weekend. So that's a behind the scenes. Also tell a little bit about your personal life. Now, many times this is like hobbies. It can be, you don't need to be telling them what you're doing for breakfast or anything like that, but tell them a little bit about your hobbies. This is important. I had a mortgage guy who was doing so-so with our promotion, but it wasn't really going as well as he had hoped. Well, once we started mentioning that he was a Jeeper, he got more calls. He got more people who wanted to do business with him because he was a Jeeper and they were too. It endeared people to him. It even endeared people who aren't Jeepers to him, who think it's a cool thing, but they don't want to do it themselves. Another example of that is a mechanic, big burly guy, loves to knit while he watches basketball or football. And he garnered a lot of business for the company he worked for by them just simply highlighting all about him, including his hobby of knitting, because other knitters came in and he's got a whole group of people who now create all kinds of knitted products for Primary Children's Hospital and for the road home and for all kinds of other places. Recognition and awards, these are both personal and business. If you receive Business Person of the Year and you're the owner of the company, you should be promoting that. If you get an award from one of the national or regional or state associations, recognize yourself. It's not about tooting your own horn as much as it's about letting people know what other people think of you. And I know there's some people who say, oh, I could never do that. I don't want to be in, they call it tooting their own horn. Let me tell you, if somebody's recognizing you from the Chamber of Commerce, saying you're a Business Person of the Year, your Business of the Year, your whatever type of person you might be, we had Ambassador of the Year. We had all kinds of different ones that we gave away when I was in some chambers. That's okay. It's all about you saying thank you to all those people who gave you that award. And by doing so, it raises you in the eyes of everyone, and your stature goes up. And that's one of the things I would recommend doing. Always do any recognitions and awards. When we had the newspapers, we had several awards that we won. And we love to tell people about this person in our company who is the sports writer, won Sports Writer of the Year for the state of Utah from the Utah Press Association. And that's a big deal. And it's me and all of his staff, all of my staff celebrating this person who did an outstanding job as well. That is important to do. And it helps the community step up and want to do business with you as well. Now, feature owners and employees. This is something that I always recommend. Always do a feature. Now, I talked a little bit about it when I said personal life, and it's telling about your hobbies. You want to do that. You want to feature employees and give some information about them. Why do people want to do business with you? It's because they get to know and like at least someone there. Now, at an auto repair shop, that might be the service writer. It might be a favorite mechanic. It might be the owner. But if you don't tell people about it, no one's going to know about it. I had a chiropractor who was in business, and he had lived in the community where he was practicing, but people didn't recognize it was him until he put his picture in and he said, hey, I'm here, I'm doing this, I'm working with this, and here's, and people said, I saw you, you're a chiropractor now, I didn't know that. He got a lot of business because he suddenly people recognize him, and that's it. Sometimes he is a one-man shop. Okay, he did have a massage therapist in there as well, but for chiropractic, it was just him, and that helped him tremendously. And it just simply by letting people know that you're in town and this is what you do. A lot of people still don't know that I do social media marketing, and they go, "Oh, you do that? I needed somebody for that." That's important for you to tell that story as well. Mission statements, vision statements, value statements, these are all ones that you should spend a little time letting people know. What is your mission in your business? Why did you get into it? What is it that's going on that made you decide to get into business? And so that's, your mission. Where is it you want to go with, what's your vision for the future? What is the value you want to have on it? I've worked with several people who have really strong ones of these three, and that's important to do. Now, that's all of the recipe. I've gone through all of the 6 different things. So the key is choose from each of these. Now, here's the big one. Oh, I see that I got a typo in here. I've got email that's moving. It's moving on without doing it. So, but the key is if you would like a copy of this, I will send it to you. Be glad to. But the key is take any of these things that are in here, take one and do it. I use a calendaring program, and I just look through. And so on Mondays, I call it my inspirational. That's Wednesday. It's my Motivational Monday is what I do. And Motivational Mondays are usually the inspirational stuff. And so it's the quotes, it's stories, it's inspiring images. Most of it is inspiring images that I use in that, but not always. And then I have quotes that are on Wednesday, but they also go along with some other things. Recreational is on Saturday. I do promotionals on Wednesdays or Fridays, depending on the week. I do entrepreneurial sometime during the week, usually opposite of promotional. And conversational, I like them on Fridays. I like to put in some kind of a question. That's my engaging Friday. And so that's when I do it. So that is the social media for the recipe for social media posting success. And so here's my information. If you need that, you're welcome to it. Want to find out if there's any questions? I'm going to stop sharing now so I can actually see any of these questions. I don't see any questions. So any questions that you might have? Going once. Come on, you can do this. I know you guys have questions. Nope. Oh, we got one. So I have a couple people. Thank you. Great job. Thank you. You're very welcome. I thank you very much for being here. It's been I hope that you enjoyed this. Now, last thing I'm going to tell you about is my challenge. So beginning on May 3rd, that's a Monday, if you're interested in getting into this, watch for my post that'll be coming out on next Monday, so a week before, and you can sign up for this. It's a social media posting. Now, I'm going to do a 30-second or less post that actually it'll be an email that'll come to you, and you'll be able to then get that. And it says, like on the first one, it might say, hey, do something and then it'll ask you to do it in one of the groups. So, if you're, maybe it'll be funny, do a joke. Maybe it's highlight something in your business. Maybe it's do a fact, but it'll be over a 6-week period. I will be showing all of these different things, and I will actually be doing it as well. And you'll be able to see what I'm doing on the social media, and then you can do it too. So all I'm going to be doing is saying, hey, today I'd like you to do a quote, one of your own quotes. Can you do that? Find something that you have quoted and then go from there. And so if you're interested in that, you can email me at info@bpmedia.com or boyd@bpmedia.com. Either one will get to me. And so when you're interested, just send that over to me on the email. Normally, I'm going to just simply be posting on social media, and you'll see an email that'll come and talk about it as well. And that'll get you, and then you can just click to get into it. It is that you're joining an email group that is specifically for the May challenge for the recipe for social media success. So, and last year, I had several people who did this, and they were in the networking groups that we were in, and they're not anymore because they got too much business. They got too busy, and that's a good thing. I'm sorry that they're not hanging out with us anymore, because I really did like to do that, but they are getting more business from doing this, and that's the bottom line. So thank you today. I hope you have a wonderful week, and that everything will go well for you.